A New Beginning, written by Sarah Paulson. Jack and Sarah, a young couple brimming with excitement, pulled up to their new home. It was a beautiful Victorian house, full of character and charm. The house stood tall, its gables casting long shadows in the late afternoon sun. As they stepped inside, the air was thick with the scent of dust and old wood, whispering tales of a bygone era. This was a fresh start, a chance to build a life together within the walls of their very own haunted house. They couldn't wait to uncover its secrets. The house was mostly empty, save for a few pieces of furniture left behind by the previous owners. One item in particular caught Sarah's eye. It was an ornate antique mirror tucked away in a corner of their bedroom. Its gilded frame was intricately carved, and its surface, though clouded with age, held a strange allure. Sarah was drawn to it, compelled to uncover its hidden beauty. Dusting it off, she felt a cold shiver run down her spine, a sense of unease settling in her stomach. As the days turned into nights, Sarah couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched, of unseen eyes following her every move. She started hearing whispers at night, faint murmurs that seemed to emanate from the mirror itself. Each whisper sent chills down her spine, raising goosebumps on her arms. Whenever she looked in the mirror, she caught fleeting glimpses of figures lurking in the reflection, gone as quickly as they appeared. Her dreams became haunted by shadowy apparitions, their cold, ethereal fingers reaching out to grasp her. Sarah confided in Jack about the strange occurrences, her voice trembling with a fear she couldn't quite explain. At first, he dismissed her concerns, attributing them to the stress of the move. But as the days passed and the strange events continued, he couldn't deny the palpable sense of dread that had seeped into their home. One evening, while Sarah was brushing her hair, she screamed.
Jack rushed in to find her staring at the mirror, her face ashen white.
"It's changing," she whispered, her voice trembling. "The reflection, it's not me anymore."
Trapped within...
Jack stared at the mirror, his heart pounding in his chest. Sarah's reflection was gone, replaced by the image of a menacing figure. Its eyes, glowing with a malevolent light, seemed to pierce through him, sending a shiver down his spine. He reached out to touch the mirror, his fingers meeting cold, unyielding glass. Suddenly, the reflection lunged forward, its long, bony fingers reaching out from the mirror's surface. Jack cried out as he felt an unseen force pulling him towards the mirror, his own reflection reaching out to meet him. A desperate escape. Sarah watched in horror as Jack was pulled screaming into the mirror, his body swallowed by its depths. The room seemed to close in around her, the walls pulsating with a sinister energy. She could hardly believe what she was seeing, her mind struggling to comprehend the nightmare unfolding before her eyes. Panic surged through her as she backed away, stumbling over her own feet. Her heart pounded in her chest, each beat echoing like a drum in the eerie silence. She could feel the cold sweat trickling down her back, her breath coming in short, ragged gasps. The air around her felt thick, almost suffocating, as if the house itself was alive and watching her every move. She had to escape, to run from this house and never look back. The thought of leaving Jack behind tore at her heart, but she knew she had no choice. She had to survive, to find help, to save him if she could. Her legs felt like lead, but she forced herself to move, to run as fast as she could. But the mirror held her captive, its cold, malevolent gaze following her every move. It was as if the mirror had a life of its own, a dark, twisted soul that reveled in her fear. She could see her own reflection, wide-eyed and terrified, staring back at her. The mirror seemed to mock her, its surface rippling with a malevolent energy. Terror lent speed to her feet as she raced towards the bedroom door, but it slammed shut before she could reach it. The sound echoed through the house, a final ominous note that seemed to seal her fate. She pounded on the door, screaming for help, but there was no answer. The silence was deafening, the darkness closing in around her. She was trapped, alone with the haunted mirror and the unseen force that now held her husband captive. The room seemed to grow colder, the shadows lengthening and twisting into grotesque shapes. She could feel the presence of something evil, something ancient and powerful, lurking just beyond the edge of her vision. Desperation clawed at her, but she knew she had to stay strong, to find a way out, to save Jack and herself from this living nightmare. The mirror's hunger. The mirror shimmered and pulsed, the menacing figure within its depths seeming to grow stronger with each passing moment. It was as if the mirror had fed on Jack's fear, growing more powerful with each terrified scream. Now it craved more, its hunger insatiable. The whispers grew louder, morphing into guttural growls that echoed through the room, their sound a physical manifestation of terror. Sarah cowered in the corner, her eyes darting around the room, searching for any means of escape. But there was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The mirror had chosen its next victim. Slowly, Sarah rose to her feet, her eyes fixed on her own reflection in the mirror. But it wasn't her own fear-stricken face staring back at her. Instead, she saw Jack, his features contorted in a silent scream, his eyes pleading for help. She reached out a trembling hand, her fingers meeting the cold, hard surface of the glass. For a fleeting moment, their fingers touched, separated by the impenetrable barrier of the mirror. And then, just as quickly as it had appeared, Jack's reflection vanished, replaced once again by the menacing figure, its grin widening in anticipation. With a surge of despair, Sarah realized the horrifying truth. The mirror wasn't just a portal to another realm, it was a prison, a place where souls were trapped for all eternity. And she was about to join them. The room grew colder, the air heavy with the weight of unseen presences. Shadows danced in the periphery of her vision, their forms shifting and swirling like smoke. She was surrounded, her fate sealed. The house, once a symbol of hope and new beginnings, had become a tomb, its walls echoing with the silent screams of those lost to the mirror's depths. The mirror called to her, its seductive whispers weaving a tapestry of promises and despair. It was an ancient artifact, shrouded in mystery and dark allure, its surface gleaming with an otherworldly light that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. Sarah had always been drawn to the unknown, and this mirror was no exception. It seemed to speak directly to her soul, offering her everything she had ever desired. It promised power, knowledge, and a love that transcended death itself. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, filling her mind with visions of a life beyond her wildest dreams. She saw herself wielding unimaginable power, unlocking secrets of the universe, and reuniting with lost loved ones. The mirror's promises were intoxicating, and for a moment she felt herself slipping into its thrall. But Sarah saw through its lies, recognizing the emptiness that lay at its heart. She had always been perceptive, able to see beyond the surface of things. The mirror's promises were hollow, its allure a trap designed to ensnare the unwary. She felt a chill run down her spine as she realized the true nature of the entity that resided within the glass. The menacing figure lunged forward once more, its cold skeletal fingers wrapping around her throat. It was a creature of darkness, born of the mirror's malevolent magic, and it sought to claim her soul. Sarah struggled against its grip, her heart pounding in her chest as she fought for her life. She gasped for air, her vision blurring at the edges. The room around her seemed to warp and twist, the mirror's power distorting reality itself. She could feel her strength waning, the creature's grip tightening with each passing second. Desperation filled her, and she knew she had to find a way to break free. Her reflection in the mirror, now a twisted mockery of her former self, reached out, beckoning her into its cold embrace. It was a vision of what she would become if she succumbed to the mirror's power. A soulless husk, trapped in an eternal nightmare. The sight filled her with a renewed sense of determination, and she resolved to fight with every ounce of strength she had left. And then, with a final heart-wrenching scream, Sarah was gone, her body pulled into the mirror's depths, her soul forever ensnared within its haunted glass. The room fell silent, the mirror's surface once again smooth and unblemished, as if nothing had ever happened. But the echoes of Sarah's scream lingered in the air, a haunting reminder of the price of succumbing to the mirror's dark allure. The house stood silent once more, its presence a ghostly silhouette against the twilight sky. The air around it was thick with an eerie stillness, as if the very atmosphere held its breath in anticipation. Its secrets buried within its aged walls, the house seemed to whisper tales of sorrow and loss. Each crack and crevice in the weathered structure spoke of years gone by, of lives once lived and now forgotten. The antique mirror, now the sole keeper of its dark history, hung in the bedroom, its ornate frame tarnished by time. It was more than just a piece of furniture. It was a portal to the past, a silent witness to the tragedies that had unfolded within these walls. Its surface reflecting nothing but the empty room, the mirror seemed to hold a void, an emptiness that echoed the desolation of the house itself. The room, once filled with life and laughter, now stood as a hollow shell, a testament to the passage of time. But if one were to look closely, they might see more than just their own reflection. The mirror had a way of revealing hidden truths, of showing glimpses of the unseen. They might see a flicker of movement within its depths, a shadowy figure that seemed to dance just out of sight. It was as if the mirror held a life of its own, a dark, twisted life that thrived on the fears of those who dared to gaze into it. A hint of the tormented souls trapped within, their anguished faces sometimes visible in the glass. The haunted mirror remained, a silent sentinel, its presence a constant reminder of the house's tragic past, its malevolent gaze forever searching for its next unsuspecting victim. The eyes that stared back from the mirror were not always one's own. They were the eyes of the lost, the damned, forever seeking release from their eternal torment. It was a chilling reminder that some doors are best left unopened, some mysteries best left unsolved. The house with its haunted mirror was a place where the past and present collided, where the living and the dead coexisted in a fragile balance. Some reflections best left unseen, for the mirror had a way of showing not just what was, but what could be. It revealed the darkest corners of the soul, the fears and regrets that one tried to hide, for the haunted mirror held no answers, only an eternity of despair. It was a portal to a world of shadows, a place where hope was but a distant memory, only an eternity of despair. The faces that appeared in the mirror were a testament to the sorrow that lingered in the house, a sorrow that would never fade. The mirror, with its dark, empty reflection, was a window to the soul of the house, a soul forever trapped in a cycle of grief and loss.